It's Tuesday, August 17th, and this is now on HNN.
The reason that we're not going into full restriction right now is because the hospitals are holding, although it's tight.
A statewide curfew is under discussion as multiple Hawaii ICUs operate at or above capacity.
There's a large group of people out there still unvaccinated.
The White House is expected to recommend a booster shot for many vaccinated Americans. I'm Michael George with when you should get it and how soon it could be available.
The Taliban has taken full control of Kabul with armed checkpoints in the streets, yet thousands of American citizens and Afghan allies remain in the country.
I'm the one who has to look them in the eye. Can I offer them your assurance?
These stories, plus Surf's Up, a high surf advisory is posted for South Shores. We have details coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thanks for watching. This is Now. So much news to get to today, but we begin with those latest numbers being reported by the state.
The State Department of Health is reporting 460 new COVID infections today. The breakdown by island shows 84 cases on the Big Island, 15 on Kauai, 1 on Lanai. Lanai hasn't reported a case in a while. 21 cases on Maui, 2 on Molokai, 330 on Oahu, and 7 people diagnosed out of state. Now, as the Delta variant continues to surge nationwide, the White House is expected to announce this week that anyone who received the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine should get a booster shot 8 months after their second shot. Michael George has more.
Americans who received the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine could start getting a booster shot as early as mid-September if the FDA approves the plan. Boosters would likely be the same brand as the first two and would come 8 months after the second dose.
Part of our operational focus was ensuring we had enough supply to provide booster shots.
Pfizer said a small study showed people with a third dose had higher levels of antibodies, including against the Delta variant. Dr. William Schaffner is an infectious disease expert at Vanderbilt.
As with most vaccines, after a time, protection wanes. And so we have to give our immune system a reminder. And that's what a booster would do.
U.S. officials are also reviewing vaccine data out of Israel, where residents over 50 are being offered a booster.
I'm very grateful that I can take the third shot.
Officials are still waiting for more data before giving guidance on the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
People with compromised immune systems are already allowed to get a booster shot.
If there's future boosters and they tell me to go get them, I'm going to go get them.
The Delta variant continues to overwhelm hospitals across the nation, and there's a struggle to convince the unvaccinated to roll up their sleeves.
There's a large group of people out there still unvaccinated. I wish they would all get vaccinated this afternoon.
Starting today in New York City, people patronizing indoor gyms, restaurants, and museums will have to show proof of vaccination. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
You can get a free COVID test at Aloha Stadium again today, but be prepared to wait in those long lines. The state says about 500 free tests will be available today and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and on the weekends from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Today, Sammy Selena talked to DOH spokesperson Brooks Baer about the expanding testing effort.
Where are we at in terms of testing capacity here on the statewide level? And also, you guys have an update for this particular location at Aloha Stadium, right?
Sammy, as you know, the demand for testing is tremendous. You know, a month ago we were doing 2,000-3,000 tests a day. Now we're doing 9,000-10,000 tests a day. And we see that number continue to escalate as the COVID case counts rise. So there's a lot of demand. Fortunately, we seem to have enough tests to administer the tests we want. We are ordering more tests and we are ramping up. We're going to be announcing perhaps as soon as later today and in the coming weeks, more and more testing opportunities. There will be community-based testing. There will be more campus, school-based testing, and so all that information will be forthcoming. We're ramping up to deal with the tremendous demand. And hey, come Thursday, right here between 10 and 2, you can not only get a free test, but you can get yourself vaccinated too. So if you are among those who are still getting vaccinated, first of all, thank you for making that smart choice to get vaccinated and being part of the solution. But hey, If you're experiencing symptoms or you think you may have been exposed to COVID, you can come down here between 10 and 2 on Thursday and get yourself vaccinated. And we'll be here at Aloha Stadium every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday for the rest of the month of August.
We got some new details to pass along. Hawaii County Police are investigating a deadly crash in Waimea that left a man dead. This happened this morning on Highway 19 near mile marker 49. Police say a truck collided with a school bus. There were no kids on board. However, both drivers were trapped following the crash. The bus driver was transported to North Hawaii Community Hospital with leg injuries. Officials say the driver of the truck was transported to Hilo Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. Developing news now, the U.S. military is beefing up its presence at the airport in Kabul, Afghanistan, in order to ensure American citizens and Afghan allies make it out of the country safely. This comes one day after President Biden defended his decision to pull out of the country. However, many have concerns about how the Biden administration is carrying out the withdrawal. Carissa Wards, who's on the ground in Kabul, had some tough questions for John Kirby, the Pentagon spokesperson.
Well, I just wanted to ask you, because obviously I'm the one who's here on the ground talking to Afghans every day who works with the U.S. military, who works with the U.S. Embassy, who worked with American NGOs or journalistic organizations. I'm the one who has to look them in the eye. Can I offer them your assurance that everyone who has worked with American organizations will be got out of this country safely?
Clarissa, first of all, thanks for your incredibly brave reporting and the images and the stories that you're telling. We're all grateful, and we all know how hard and how dangerous that work is. I would ask you to tell them that there is a process that they can apply for through the State Department to get onto the list and get onto the manifest. And I would ask them to work with State Department authorities there in Kabul to do that. And if they are through that process, I can assure them, and you can assure them on our behalf, that we in the Pentagon will do everything we can to help get them out of the country over the next couple of weeks. That's what we're flowing in extra aircraft for. That's why we're flowing in extra troops to maintain security at that airport so that we can do that. And I would also say, over the last, since 2005, we've moved 70,000 of these individuals. We know we have an obligation to them.
To most Afghan people that I'm talking to, John, that's going to sound like hollow promises. Can I have your word? These people are depending on you. They are depending on America. Their lives are at threat. They have given everything to work with America to rebuild this country. And now they are asking simply for an assurance that they will not be cast aside, they will not be abandoned, that America will step up and take responsibility for the lives that are in its care at the moment.
Clarissa, there's nothing hollow about the obligation that we know we have to these Afghans who so bravely helped us over the last 20 years. Believe me, nobody in the United States government, more than the Pentagon, understands that obligation to these individuals. And as I said before, we will continue to do whatever we can to help them get out of the country in concert with our State Department colleagues. We are absolutely committed to that, and we're going to stay, and we're going to do it for as long as we possibly can, up until the end of the month. Certainly, that's when the mission ends. We're going to continue to work on that very, very hard. That's why we're continuing to flow in more forces. That's why we're continuing to flow in more aircraft.
What about people whose paperwork has been turned down? This is something I hear every day. I applied for my CIV. I did it all. Computer said no. I got a rejection. I don't know why. What's the problem? I worked as a translator in Kandahar for 5 years. What about those people? Are you going to retroactively go back and look at these applications again?
Clarissa, I can't speak to the actual process itself. I mean, that is not a process that the Defense Department owns. I know the State Department is very, very focused on this and working very hard to process these applications as fast as possible. The Secretary of Defense spoke with the Secretary of State last night, and they talked about this very thing. Secretary Blinken and his team are working on this very, very hard. I can tell you it has the attention of the top levels at the United States government. Nobody is just dancing around on this. We understand that time is a critical factor here. We understand that numbers are a critical factor here, and I can assure you we're working on this as hard as we possibly can.
As a pilot with the Hawaii Air National Guard, Congressman Kai Kahele has flown into the Kabul airport many times. He's logged nearly 350 flight hours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Kahele says the military trains for evacuations just like this and should have been more prepared.
Where we just felt helpless. And we have been calling over the last few months. Bipartisan members of Congress have been calling for the evacuations that should have happened months ago, the fast processing of special immigrant visas, moving our Afghan partners, our interpreters, those that fought and worked alongside of us and their families to Guam, which we have done in the past. We called for all of this back in June. That's why it was so frustrating for me to see what was happening. And I'm sure it was tough for not just those that have served in Afghanistan and overseas, but the families, those that, Gold Star families, those that have lost loved ones there. Just really difficult for us to see. Was the decision that President Biden made to honor the decision that President Trump made when he negotiated with the Taliban to leave the country by May 1st, the right decision? Yes. Could we have done things differently between when President Biden took office and yesterday? Absolutely. And those that study history will be the judge of that.
Happening today, the preliminary hearing continues for the 3 HPD officers charged in connection with the death of 16-year-old I Remember Sycap. One officer is charged with second-degree murder. The other 2 are charged with attempted murder for the April 5th shooting in Macaulay. The judge in this hearing will determine if there is enough evidence to send the officers to trial. Our chief investigative reporter, Lynn Kwana, will be monitoring all that happens in the courtroom today, and we'll have the very latest on later editions of Hawaii News Now and your H&N digital platforms. More coronavirus news now. Many hospitals across the state are reporting having ICU units above or at capacity. We got an update on this from Lieutenant Governor Josh Green today on Sunrise. He also talked about the potential for more restrictions. Let me play out a portion of that interview.
Are those on the horizon? I mean, I know we've been talking about it for a while, and if not, why not in seeing all these numbers?
The reason that we're not going into full restriction right now is because the hospitals are holding, although it's tight. And also there is a general inclination to not want to punish all the people who did get vaccinated. 81% of all of our society who has been eligible to get vaccinated has done it. And so I don't want anyone to suffer, but it would be very difficult to shut down businesses again, to shut down the state again, when 4 out of 5 people have done all that they can to stop the spread. There is a lot being discussed, though.
Yeah, at the same time, though, LG, I think there are a lot of people that are looking at, well, maybe not shut everything down completely, but put some restrictions in place. We're going to take a hit no matter what at some point. But in the meantime, the more we wait, the more people get sick.
That's right. So there will be modified restrictions. I'm guessing that will come very soon. The restrictions that were put into place just 1 week ago were decreases in the size of gatherings again. That has tended to help, but it's not a full restriction. That's 10 people indoors and 25 people outdoors. That keeps the numbers at bay. But I do think some of these other restrictions are being discussed and are possible. I'll list them for you. Going back to the pre-arrival testing comprehensively, that was my plan. It worked very well. And when vaccination cards became available, we were able to pivot that way. That's one thing that's being discussed, although would probably be challenged in court. The number 2 possibility is having everyone show their vaccination cards before going into public places like restaurants and gyms. Again, it is kind of a benefit, as Ray Vera said, a benefit to those who took the time and went the extra mile to get vaccinated. Finally, a curfew possibly for 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. and on into the morning. We emergency room doctors have always said that nothing good happens after midnight, and that's true on the roads where there are car accidents. But the reason for that would be that Queens Hospital, as you just heard, is full. Queens had 109 people in the hospitals between the main campus and West yesterday. They're up to 123 today. And so they're doing so much work along with Hawaii Pacific Health and Kaiser and so on, but they simply don't have the space to deal with severe illness or tragic injury. And so that's one of the reasons why we might have to do that. So those are the things that we're talking about. But the goal overall is to keep society alive, keep kids getting educated, get through the Delta surge, and then when that comes down, get back to normal again.
You know, you mentioned not punishing those who are actually following the rules and getting vaccinated and maybe showing them in public places like restaurants. I've had business owners ask me about that. If you were to do that, would you maybe up the capacity from the 50% level that it is now?
Yes. So the benefit of that is that when you show that you're vaccinated, the risks go down very steeply. Vaccinated individuals are not getting so sick that they end up in the hospital. So if vaccinated people are together in a group, there's very little risk of spread. Not no risk, but very little risk. So that's the benefit. And this is where the future may go. Business leaders across the state have been proposing this to me, and I take their recommendations seriously because they have suffered very greatly. Now, all things being equal, my goal is to keep people alive. And so we'll do whatever is necessary to do that. But I can just keep encouraging only so many people to get vaccinated. I really don't want to go too much into conflict with those individuals because I also want to show some respect for differences of opinion. At the end of the day, though, we all are in this together, so businesses should be allowed to stay open.
After a rebound in travel this summer, many people are canceling their trips again because of the COVID surge. A recent survey says 27% of respondents are postponing a trip, while more than 54% say the Delta variant is making them less interested in traveling right now. Errol Barnett has more.
It was really kind of heartbreaking to not be able to finally go.
On Wednesday, Cotton Star of Houston was expecting to see her friends in San Diego for the first time in a long time.
I'm a high-risk category, so I was a little concerned with what was going to happen during that travel. I was going to be exposed to a lot of people.
It's been basically 2 years now since I've been able to see them.
Kim Hoff outside Denver has been waiting even longer, planning to meet her friends at DragonCon, a pop culture convention in Atlanta next month.
When it got to the point of the rates just skyrocketing in the last week or so, I thought, no, I'm sorry. There's no level of logistics that will make me feel okay if I bring this back with me.
Both canceled their long-awaited trips due to the spread of the Delta variant.
Airfare is on the downtrend.
Economist Adit Damodaran with the travel app Hopper says summer flight demand has flattened from pandemic highs, which is now leading to lower prices. But his service is finding since July, one aspect of travel is up. There's been a 33% increase in people buying cancelable tickets.
People want to have that option to cancel if for any reason, something happens, the situation develops in a way where they can't take that trip.
Another potential pitfall, airlines cutting flights. In June and July, domestic air cancellations were above their 1% average, which translates to 10,000 cancellations in July alone. For the number of people canceling trips, a sizable number still plan to head out somewhere. According to a recent survey, 26% of respondents say they do in fact plan to travel in October. Errol Barnett, CBS News at Reagan National Airport.
All right, thanks for that report. What do you say we talk about what's going on outside? Because it's pretty amazing.
Ooh,
check out
wow.
that South Shore swell. That's a live picture coming in to our newsroom from Waikiki, our Sheraton cam. I'm going to refresh it one more time because I just enjoyed looking at it so much. But you saw some great wave action there. There it is.
Wow.
That's the live view coming in. You just see those waves rolling in. And I know a lot of people are excited about that. Billy's got more on those developments and the latest on the tropical weather outlook.
Thank you very much. Here's your Tuesday forecast. We're going to start with Hurricane Linda. It's right now a Category 1 storm, Category 1 hurricane, and we're going to put that in motion. It's moving westerly at 10 miles per hour. Its winds are 85 miles per hour with gusts to 105 miles per hour. As you can see in the 5-day track, it's going to bring it pretty close to the Hawaiian Islands. But the thing is that it's going to start to lose power and energy, and so a tropical storm downgraded by this time, a storm, a remnant low, and then that may bring some moisture to our islands as far as coming up this weekend, maybe Saturday into Sunday, Sunday into Monday. We're watching it closely for you. That could also bring us some surf to the east-facing shores, which is the only shore that doesn't really have any waves right now. A high surf advisory in effect for the south-facing shores of all Hawaiian Islands due to the high surf. Once again, that swell 8 to 12 feet Only be out there if you're checking with the lifeguards or if you're a professional out there. West side 4 to 6 with the south side wrap, and 2 to 4 on the north shore. That's on the way down. Your forecast, partly cloudy skies, leeward and interior showers this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon. The winds are light and variable, 5 to 15 miles per hour. Your daytime high near 88. Once again, the trades don't return until Thursday. Get the latest on air, online, on your mobile device, and at HawaiiNewsNow.com.
Ben Aipa, a renowned figure in the surfing community, passed away earlier this year at the age of 78. Today, friends and family held a paddle out to honor him, launching from Magic Island.
When my dad passed away in January, a swell hit on that day, and everyone around the world named it the Ben Aipa swell. So here we are again on my dad's birthday and his celebration of life, and we are at the peak swell here on the South Shore at Ala Moana Bowls.
Aipa was born and raised on Kauai before moving to Oahu in his teens. A great surfer in his own right, he soon made waves in the community with his board shaping abilities, notably creating the board used by fellow Hawaiian Fred Hemmings in his World Championship win in 1968. His shallow tail and sting designs are said to have revolutionized the sport. He was also an accomplished coach, taking champions such as Sonny Garcia and Bethany Hamilton under his wing.
Just a very, very close friend. This is one of his boys.
Yeah, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be half the surfer that I am today. My whole life right here at Bowls, from a little kid, grew up in Waikiki, but then I worked my way down to this side. And he was like, he wanted to ride his surfboards. And I tried really hard. Then I became a part of his team. And I swear, the first time I left this island was with him.
All right, we'll have more on that tribute coming up on later editions of H&N. Let's see what the internet's talking about. We got some space news, you know I like that, and we're talking about Saturn. Scientists say that the giant planet might have what's called a fuzzy core. Previously, researchers believed Saturn's core was rocky, but data gathered from NASA suggests a larger core than previously estimated. Rather than a solid rock, Saturn's core likely is made up of a slushy mix of ice, rock, and metallic fluids. Saturn is my favorite planet to look at. I just gotta say.
Agreed. It's beautiful.
Other than Earth.
Yeah.
I like Earth a lot.
So the Washington Monument remains closed today after a dramatic lightning strike caught on video. Check this out. It was shot on a cell phone Sunday at around 12:30 a.m. The yellowish night sky turns blue as lightning flashes around the National Mall. Then a huge bolt of lightning strikes the obelisk of the Washington Monument. The lightning strike damaged the monument's electronic access system, and officials hope to have that repaired and the monument reopened in the next couple of days. Now, the monument regularly gets struck by lightning, especially in the summer when there are storms.
I have some dork news I can share.
Go
Do
for
you
it.
know an obelisk, this is newsy dork news, an obelisk is like considered the first form of journalism because in Egyptian times that's sort of where the poster board or the bulletin board of messages for your town went.
Interesting.
It's what I was
love that.
told. Yes. Okay, that's what I got.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. And so, Girl Scout cookie fans, listen up. The cookie lineup is about to get even more decadent with a brand new brownie-inspired cookie coming out next year. So they're called the Adventurefuls cookie, and it has a caramel-flavored cream and a hint of sea salt. Yum. Along with the new cookie, Girl Scouts also announced a new cookie business badge. This will help girls think they're like entrepreneurs as they run their own cookie business.
I don't know if those are going to compete with my Do-si-dos or not.
They sound really good.
They do. The salt on sweet is always one of my favorite
Mhm.
things. Also, did you know, Obelisk News, the reason why I knew that, was the name of my very first high school newspaper. So that's where I got that trivia from.
Very cool. I'm
Yes.
glad it's been useful for you
Yeah, it
all
helped
these
me
years.
one time. You guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now. Get me out of here. You guys, we'll be back here tomorrow on Wednesday. Don't forget, we're podcasting all the time. You can find our podcast just by searching Hawaii News Now, wherever you get those podcasts you like to listen to. We got all sorts of ones available, some from Lynn Kawano, some from Stephanie Lum with her mothership, which is awesome and doing really well in the analytics and views that or listens she's getting there. You guys will be back tomorrow. Have a good one.
See ya.